What's up, everybody? It's time for Hotline League episode 126 in the Twitch chat. I'm hoping that they can let me know if audio is fine because I forgot to do that before the start of the show. Of course, this show is brought to you by our sponsors, Alienware and DraftBuff. Talk more about them as the show goes on, but thank you to them for supporting the show. With me, of course, this episode is my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. How's it going, Mark Zimmerman?
It's going. I definitely had an update I wanted to give, but I don't remember what it is now. I don't remember. My bad.
Acadian's in the chat just remarking on my jawline, which I really appreciate. You had no update? What's going on?
No, I had one, but I don't remember what it is now.
Give an update. What happened this week? Did you do anything interesting?
Something definitely happened.
All right, we'll come back to you. With us, our guest is Damonte. How's it going, Damonte?
I'm currently chilling, talking to my two favorite people in the entire esports scene.
Oh, wow.
So,
thank you. There's a lot of people that you're friends with in the esports scene, so I'm happy to know that you rank us above them.
yeah, of course, man.
Who are your two least favorite people? Who would you what are the last two people you want to be doing the show with, if we're the best two?
The last two?
Yeah.
Narei.
That's an obvious one.
Yeah, that one sounds fucking miserable.
And this is a hard one. I mean,
Great. Anyway,
just
welcome to Golden Guardians. That's a big deal for you. We talked a little bit about that in the interview that I did with you today for Media Day, but that will be coming out later on. So why don't you tell us what that whole experience has been like and how you ended up on Golden Guardians?
Well, I mean, basically, it was kind of weird because going into the summer split, I was just expecting to play on Dignitas, whether it be on Academy or their LCS team. And like Dignitas, like a lot of other teams, held tryouts during the off season. And I mean, obviously, from what you see now, I did not get the starting spot on the LCS team, and it just so happened to like pan out where GGS also wanted to try me out for their LCS team. So I got like 2 days of scrims there, and they went pretty well, and now I'm the starter.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty exciting. One of the unique things about this, I don't know if Mark knows about this, but we talked about it in the interview earlier. You still live with Acadian.
Yeah.
so you're living with
fucking collusion, conflict of interest.
Yeah. Are you ready for the holy war with Golden Guardians and Dignitas?
It's gonna be the lower scaled holy war.
Yes.
I'm gonna hear Acadian yelling about some shit in the background. It's gonna be fun.
Looking forward to it. Anyway, well, congratulations on the new gig. Good to have you back starting in the LCS. A little disappointing, though, I think, for some people that you had to take another North American mid laner's position.
Yeah, dude, what
to
the
do
hell?
So.
Yeah, I had to headshot one of my own in order to bring myself back, unfortunately.
Wafflefoot just dropped 50 subs in the Twitch channel. Holy moly, we're going to be seeing a lot of spam there today. All right, well, either way, great to have you back on, Damonte, and great to have you back in the LCS. You've been on the show, I think, multiple times before. Oh, have you? It's been more than once, right?
I think twice.
Yeah. Well, either good. Wait, it's good to have you back. I'm trying not to get distracted for VOD and podcast listeners, but holy moly, that was a big Twitch bomb. All right. Let's get into the news. So a couple different things. I did an interview with Soaz, which I just put up before the stream, or I put it on the stream. It's not up on the YouTube channel yet. He says he can't say whether or not he's playing or what the Immortals lineup will look like for summer split. It's not been announced yet, but it sounds like there's going to be some more changes. And I continue to hear rumors of Xmithy being on the bench. So that's an interesting thing we can talk about, Twitch chat.
Have you scrimmed Immortals, Damonte?
Yes.
Any thoughts on that rumor?
They might just be the best team in the LCS.
Oh shit, just like CLG.
Yes, true.
Did you see Jack's tweet?
Yeah.
And then Immortals fucking response? Oh
No,
my.
they're pretty bad, right?
Okay, wait. What is this? If we're going to talk about
All right, go look up Jack's tweet. Yeah, go pull this up. It's so bad. He's like, it's a tight race between CLG and Immortals for like last place. I forget, it's something like that. And then
GGS
Immortals
and Immortals.
responds like, have fun racing to embarrassing NA at Worlds again, or some stupid shit like that. And everyone is just like, what the fuck are you saying?
Good
Oh,
luck in your race to embarrass NA at Worlds this year. Holy
yeah, just
moly.
look at all the reply. Everyone is just like, in all the replies to that, everyone's just like, what are you fucking talking about, Immortals?
That's that's not a great comeback, I would say.
No, it's probably the worst comeback I've ever heard in org tweet. And that's including FlyQuest, Snickers FlyQuest.
Wait, Snickers FlyQuest is pretty legendary though. You can't hate on that.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm just saying. Like they have better comebacks and shit.
That's a big oof. All right, so there's that news. What else? We have confirmation, I guess. So I did. So today, for context, Riot did a media day with half the teams, and they also did what they called a state of the league at the end of it with Commissioner Greeley. And I know that that name hasn't been used in a while, but it's still my email address, so I kind of feel like a little fucked up. Anyway, so among things, they say that they've got 2 new partners getting announced this week. They've got, I guess they had already talked about like the drops, the in-game drops that they're going to be doing when you watch. We Overwatch League now, boys. And I'm trying to think of what else was interesting. He said he expects that he says he's not sure, but he expects the rest of summer will be played from home, but he's hopeful that maybe by playoffs they can be played in the studio. But he's not sure. It's just kind of subject to the state, and that even then there probably won't be an audience if they do that. So interesting stuff there. Trying to think if there's any other big news this past week. I mean, we did a show literally like 5 days ago on Wednesday. So Mark, am I forgetting anything? Twitch chat, am I forgetting anything?
Not really. There's like there's the Ovly news.
Oh yes.
That's a pretty big one. There's High getting chat restricted. Right,
put out a thing got today. Chat restricted?
Yeah, it was just a fucking stupid one. It's pretty funny though. Yeah. But they did put out like a post about toxicity and like combating it. Sneaky. I'm just going through the top of Reddit right now.
Yeah.
Sneaky complained about 80 carries in fighting Kassadin. Did you see that, Damonte? You got any hot takes on?
I actually didn't. I didn't watch that clip in particular. I'm not sure what he talked about.
Oh, he was the same level as Kassadin, like 15 or something, and Kassadin had 2 items and he had 4.
Did he die?
No, he won the fight, but it was close, and he was like 15-1. The Kassadin was like 2-7, but he also face checked him with probably Riftwalk stacks up, and I don't know. It was one of those things where it's like, I don't know, that didn't look that bad to me. You have no defense against 2-item Kassadin 30 minutes in the game.
Might just get one shot.
I've been trying.
He didn't die. He was fine. He killed him. He was close though.
I've been trying to decide what I want to say about the Ovly stuff. That's why I haven't tweeted anything. But I'm in this
shoot it out right now. Shoot from the hip.
Okay. Well, so a couple different things in that thread. There were some people criticizing Ovly's interviews, like on broadcast. I think I can understand why people find those interviews boring, but I would challenge people to find any interview that they do on stage for 2 minutes after the game is done to be not boring. Like, it doesn't matter who's doing them. I think they're all boring because they're limited to just a couple interviews a couple of questions, and normally the player just like wants to leave or whatever. I don't feel like that criticism is particularly fair. I feel like that's more of a broadcast thing. I mean, obviously I'm really close friends with Ovly, and I like worked with her at Yahoo, so I'm super biased on this, but I just I think that they're not using Ovly is a huge failure on the broadcast. Like, there were so many great ways you can use Avali's talents on that broadcast, and they just never use them for much more than doing interviews. And you can see how when she works with like the publishing team and the content she's able to make, how well that stuff is received and how unique it is. And so it just really tells me that they did not really know how to best, I don't know, it just like, I don't know if it's a lack of creativity or vision on how to like best employ that stuff, but like I guess we'll be doing more Sports Center style highlight stuff. I think, you know, the analyst desk does a great job and stuff, but I feel like she was a really unique voice on that broadcast. And I guess as everyone's looking at all the fun that LEC has on their broadcast and the unique content that they do there, we've decided that that's not something we really want on the LCS broadcast with this decision. So pretty dumb. That's my take on the Avali thing. Sorry, it's very you said shoot from the hip, and I shot from the hip, but that's my frustration on that thing. I don't know if there's much more for you guys to say. I don't expect either of you to chime in too much on it, but yep. Anyway,
I thought about saying something. I was like, no, this is so much better if I just let you flounder.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's difficult for you because, you know, you work on the broadcast and all that stuff, so it's difficult for you to have like a easy take for that. And I don't expect pro players usually to chime in on this type of stuff. So
I watched the video. I feel like I took it in a different way than you, though. I feel like she has a lot more freedom in what she can do now, and I feel like she's not gonna like struggle working with teams and stuff because she already did that in the past.
Yeah, I think this is a good thing for Avali. I think it's a bad thing for the broadcast. Is my take, right? Like, I have no worry for Avali. It's just disappointing to me because I want the LCS broadcast to be better than it is, and I think that it has stagnated, and they have done some things, but they always feel like, you know, I don't mean to be disrespectful because I think Dash and Mark and a lot of you guys do really great work on that show, but I think they have struggled to find unique stuff, you know, and you see that with what, like, I think that interview that Dash did with all the players at the start of the split was great, and I'm jealous that he can do stuff like that. And I told him that, but I also feel like that is, it's within the same vein of that LCS has been tapping forever. And I go and look at what LEC does, where they do like music videos and stuff like that, and I feel like these are creative new ventures that their broadcast hasn't gone in before. And I wish that LCS had that same take. And I just feel like one of the few voices and creators on that broadcast that did something like that is now no longer working on it. And so I just think it's a loss for the broadcast and really disappointing that the LCS didn't figure out a way to make that continue to work. So there, I've now done 2 separate rants on it.
Do you want to try a third one, just in case there's anything left in the tank? I don't know if there's
okay. You told me to go, so I went for it.
Yeah, I said shoot from the hip. I didn't say, like, you know, spray and pray.
You know, Mark, you can't, once you open Pandora's box, you can't.
We got Damonte on the show. Let's talk about how Golden Guardians are going to do. How are you guys going to do?
We're going to be the next C9 18-0 split right there. That's it. Anything less than that, you're going to be disappointed. I'm disappointed.
You know, C9 went 17-1, right?
Yeah, I'm the next Immortals then. Or no.
What?
No one's
Fnatic.
on it. No one's. You're the next Fnatic. Yeah, there we go.
The next Immortals right now,
Got
I think.
it.
They're in a rough spot.
All right, let's get some callers, huh?
Yeah. Do you want to explain how the show works?
Yeah, if you guys have never seen the show before, this is a live call-in show, which means you can come on here and talk to Damonte directly. My enter key. Oh, I'm hitting shift. That would be why it doesn't go. There we go. Spamming Discord link in the Twitch chat right now. Go ahead and join up once you can. When you get there, go into the Pleb Calls voice channel, join that, and mute yourself. You're just going to hang out there while you post your topics in the Pleb Topics text channel above it. Put your take. You think Golden Guardians are going to be much better now because Damonte is the shit. Go ahead and put that in there. If we like your take, we'll pull you from that Pleb Calls channel where you're hanging out into the waiting room. You'll hang out there until we're ready to take your call. We'll do a quick mic check, make sure everything's good, and then pull you on to discuss.
I always love asking you to do it because you just got it down so well. You got the
We
format.
should swap priorities one time. I'll handle all the tech shit on this side, and you can do all that
It's definitely
and pull people. And
that would be a disastrous show. All right. Anyway, let's get some callers going. And while that happens, Damonte, what did you do during your break? Like during your downtime? Did you play any games?
I got my dad's dog. I like basically kidnapped it. It's right there.
Okay.
His
So
name is
earlier
Enzo.
today when we did the interview, you said that was your dog.
Well, it's my dad's dog, but it's like technically my dog because he just lives with me now.
Now,
But
is that up dog?
that's down dog.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And then
Travis,
other than
you're
that,
fucking like 30. Come on.
Wait,
Yeah,
Damonte
come on,
made
bro.
that joke for me
no,
when
I
we were
didn't make
waiting
that
for
joke.
you.
What are you saying,
We
bro?
were waiting for you before the start of the broadcast. He tried to,
You're
or the
just
stream.
gaslighting me now. I didn't say
Sure.
that.
He
You're
tried.
yeah, but he's not 30.
What? So he could make the joke and I can't? I
Yep.
thought you were implying that
Yep.
by my making the joke, I was being too old.
That's what I was, but now that we've changed it around, I have to defend Damonte's honor. So it's still your fault for being old.
Thank
Jesus. All right. Can we get a caller out here?
you.
Off Mark goes. Wait, so did you play any games though?
I played Dead by Daylight for the first time. That's about it.
That's it? No
What-
Path
I
of
mean,
Exile or anything? I don't know.
No, I play like Minecraft.
All
I'm a
right.
Minecraft player.
I'm gonna play that with Ovly for a sponsor thing soon. Warden is here. Warden, where are you calling from?
Downey, California.
Downey. Wait, have you been on the show before?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have the same name?
Yes.
Okay, damn it. Well, I give that a 50-50 because I knew that you were on from the Downey thing, but anyway, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I think after picking up Damonte, GGS has a top 3 mid jungle in LCS.
Ooh. Okay, so you're saying Damonte, sorry, are you implying that the players individual in the jungle and mid roles are both top 3, or are you saying that duo
I think
is top
combined.
3? Combined. Okay. So who would you place above them?
TL and Cloud9.
Okay. What makes you so confident in that? Because we haven't seen Damonte and Closer really. So what makes you so confident in that duo?
Well, I think Closer was by far the second best jungler last split, and I think Damonte showed a lot the last split he played in summer, and that was with Lyra, who I think was playing one of the worst splits he had. He was kind of a Skarner one trick from my point of view. And I think him and Closer together will be really aggressive and have like a good roam style that they can use to abuse other lanes.
Well, Mark, what do you think?
What? I'm just gonna have to disagree right off the top. Actually, so let me get this straight. Is the point that the two together make a top 3, or that each of them are top 3 individually and then are therefore also a top 3?
The two together make a top 3.
I can maybe buy that. I know this sounds like a backhanded compliment to Damonte, where people think I'm saying like Closer carries Damonte or something. I'm not. I'm just saying that I think the individual mid talent pool is more stacked than the jungle one. I think there's every single mid in the LCS is actually pretty dope right now. I don't think there's really any dead weight for the most part. So I think it's harder to break in, especially with PoE being super good last split. Jizuke, you still have Bjergsen, Jensen, Niski's been popping off. So I think it's harder for Damonte to get into top 3 by himself. But I think in terms of mid jungle 2v2s, we haven't seen anyone dominant aside for Jizuke, or excuse me, Niski and Blabber.
Hey, honey.
Jizuke and Sven are close, and probably the other ones in the top 3 definitively. But we didn't see much out of Broxah and Jensen. We didn't see much out of Bjergsen and Dardoch. So I totally think there's room for the Golden Guardians mid jungle 2v2 to get in there. But I think it's more about synergy and how they work together than anything. I don't know. Does that sound like I did you dirty, Damonte?
No, I mean I think it's pretty fair. I'm one to agree. I think the one thing I would disagree with what you said is that summer split Lyra was bad. I just wanted to defend my boy Lyra. I think he was actually carrying our team pretty hard last year. But I think me and Closer, like you said, only Blabber and Niski really did a lot around mid jungle. And then other than that, I think Svenskeren and Jizuke were the best, and I think we will definitely be able to be right near them if we keep practicing well.
I think I forgot to mention PoE and Santorin. I think they're both really good, but I don't think they do anything insane together necessarily.
I think that
Yeah.
team is like it's like PoE, Ignar, and Santorin all just like play off each other really well and make sure PoE is like always even or ahead.
Yeah. But you don't feel like they, like take over the game or like
Well,
roam
that's not really
for
the
bot and
player that
stuff.
PoE is.
Yeah.
PoE is like a farming player, and they make sure like he plays his win condition really well, which is what makes them good.
Yeah. If you had to pick, who else are the other two? Obviously Niski Blabber, you two, with Closer and yourself. Who's the third one? Is it Jizuke Sven or
I think it's
who would,
Jizuke and Sven for sure.
Travis?
I've
Are you
just
still? Sorry.
I just
You,
feel like when I would watch their games, a lot of them they just always go on the same screen at like the correct times, and they just do stuff together.
Damonte, how good do you think you and Closer will be out the gate? Because that's my
Out
bigger
of the
problem with
gate,
this take is like a lot of these other duos have had much longer than Damonte and Closer to get real good. So it just feels strange that they would be top 3 out the gate.
I think we have some decent natural synergy. We also played duo a lot at Worlds last year, which was a thing that happened, and we played duo over the last 6 months a couple times too. So it's not like we're just like two new people just playing together, but definitely, I would say we have to give it a little bit of time before we're really gonna be like good.
What's wrong, Mark?
you took away my mod privileges?
That's not all I took away. Anyway, I don't know. So do you Warden have any follow-ups or thoughts on this?
No, I think hit pretty much good points. I kind of forgot about Jizuke and Sven. I think at first they had like pretty big synergy problems, but over time it seems like they're improving it. But yeah, I think GGS is kind of underrated, and I feel like Damonte will fit the team better as like a more aggressive roam style than Golden Glue did, where he was kind of just passive, trying not to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see. I don't know. I think it's going to be difficult. No offense, Damonte.
It's fine, bro.
Warden, any final thoughts before we move on to our next caller?
No, that's about it.
I was about to say, have Damonte join me in protest.
Have a good one, Warden. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm not sure now's the time to be making protest jokes. Mark. Okay.
Well,
Let's move on to the next caller.
clearly the importance of being on camera isn't that high for this show.
This is the guy who's always throwing his cats into the shot instead of himself. People are going to think we're actually arguing. Do you want to grab the next caller?
Yeah.
All right. By the way, big shout out to Wafflefoot, who not only subbed for 10 months, but also gifted 50 subs, which is insane. Ferber 2 for the 5, Jaffe 58 for the 10. Holy moly. Bernks, the Modem 81, Alluring Sensei. A ton of people gifted subs. Looks like McKaylan is here. McKaylan, where are you calling from?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I think CLG is going to be a playoff team this split, and I think that keeping the roster together was a good decision.
Okay, this is maybe the spiciest take of the evening. It's okay. So the only thing is, I feel like several teams have just decided to make their rosters worse, and so it's difficult because I don't know. I look at some of the stuff that's happening on these other teams, and it's hard not to feel like it's going to move CLG up a little bit. But oh wait, playoff team is top 8.
Yeah. It's hard not to be a playoff team.
I technically meant top 6.
Okay, so
I think they'll be
let's
top
adjust
6.
to top 6 because I think they could definitely make top 8. And top 6 is difficult for me. Why don't you expand? Why do you think it's going to be that way?
I think, despite a lot of doubts in the end of the last split, they had quite a few 1-on-1 weeks where Pobelter showed a lot of potential to do great, and he showed that he could be a leader for the team. And also, I think in general the competition last split was pretty bad overall. I think it was Cloud9 was a good team, and every other team was fighting to make the playoffs to some degree. Yeah, and I don't have a lot of faith in the Immortals roster, and I think FlyQuest will kind of fall off this second split of the year.
Why will FlyQuest fall off?
I don't know. I don't have a ton of faith, particularly in solo as a top laner compared to the likes of Someday and Broken Blade, and I know Ruin's not a great top laner, but like I don't know. I've never seen. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you think
I think
FlyQuest will fall off because they have to go from being a second place team to a bottom 4 team? That seems like a pretty dramatic fall.
yeah, but I don't know that. Like I said,
did it
I don't know
last year.
that. You're right. I just feel like every team last year was bad. Not bad, but
I was giving
split
you I was helping you out, dude. FlyQuest went from top 4 to bottom what 2 was it? 1? Were they a 10th? Forget. I would like to get Damonte. Have you scrimmed CLG at all? And have you seen Jack's tweet or something? Or no, it was a video with Reaper or something where he said like he heard a rumor that CLG was crushing scrims. Have you seen any of this?
I saw the thumbnail of that video and I just thought it was a joke because Reaper was like laughing. So I don't know the context of what he said that quote in, but like I'm also not trying to spoil the scrims, but I don't think CLG is gonna be a top team for sure.
What
it's
about
really
top 6?
difficult.
Because technically you can not be a top team and be 6th.
I don't think they're gonna get 6 either.
You think they're going to get playoffs, top 8?
I think you're narrowing down my options here. No, I don't think they will. I don't think they will be top 8.
Bottom 2. Jeez. And that's in a league that has Dignitas and Immortals in it.
It's gonna be a tight race.
It's actually in these conversations it feels so bad that like 8 of the 10 make it into playoffs. Like it feels like, and I know there are other adjustments to the format to help justify it, but it just feels really weird when you get into a world where it's like, yeah, CLG could make playoffs even if they're really bad because all you need is like a couple things.
Digging Immortals or something, yeah.
How does the 8th and 7th place teams work for the playoffs? I actually don't know how the bracket would form. If any of you guys know that?
Mark, do you have...
there's a graphic. It's they got rid of Gauntlet and like kind of combined all the playoffs into this kind of thing, like double elimination for some people, kind of like it was in summer or spring, excuse me. Let me see if I can pull up the graphic for it. I think this is out. I don't think I saw this internally. It's on Leaguepedia. It's not like obviously there's no team names filled out there, but let me put it in Twitch chat so you can just click it.
Artemis described it as first and second get first round buys and double elim as far as I know.
It's oh my god, can I get my fucking privileges back so I can spam shit?
I don't know. Are you gonna behave yourself?
Oh my god, dude, what the fuck is that?
What happened?
Dude, my cat fucking jumped up there.
Okay, this Wikipedia page is like crashing and then reloading on my stuff, so I'm gonna...
Well, I can't help it.
No, it's fine. I'm just not... We're not gonna be able to show it. It sounds like your cat is distracting stuff a lot.
My cat jumped up here into my arm, and I bopped him back down. Hey, buddy, you okay? He's fine. Anyways, it's kind of like it's a double elimination bracket, but a bunch of teams start in the bottom. The 7th and 8th place teams do. There's also buys for 1 and 2. I don't know how to describe it without the
people can
picture
go find
there.
it. So that's Damonte can find it. Okay, so I don't know, Mark, if you have any extra to
I don't
expand
think
on that.
CLG.
It's so difficult to make the argument that CLG is going to be a top 6 team when they've made like no changes.
I will hard disagree with top 6 for sure. Top 8, I'm a little bit more.
Yeah, but anybody can be a top 8 team.
Well, right, but that's my point. It's not that like you're not making a good case for CLG. You're making a case about the bottom of the LCS.
Yeah. Okay. I think now that I look at my roster, my rankings, I think it looks like Immortals 10th, Dignitas 9th, and then CLG is probably 7th. And yeah, especially
who's 8th?
Who's 8th?
Or sorry, 8th. I meant CLG 8th. My bad. But yeah, Damonte also disheartened me quite a bit. with that.
I don't want to discourage CLG fans because I think there's enough reason to already. You know, like
I'm a TSM fan. I'd love to see him crash and burn again. I just like
then
Poe
what the
Belter.
hell?
I'm a
Okay.
big Poe Belter
You're
guy.
still wanting them to crash and burn. I feel like it's like the beating the dead horse thing. Like,
Stop it! They're already dead.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
There's a conflict. There's an internal conflict between wanting to see the old guard stand tall and wanting to see CLG die off painfully and slowly.
Yeah.
That's all I got, though. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any shout outs, anything you want to say as we move on to the next caller?
No, thanks, DraftBuff. I hope I get first in this first weekend thing that you guys have put on.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but yes, good luck.
Yeah, peace out.
Yep. All right. Are you okay, Mark? What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at the clip of my cat. Just someone put it in Twitch chat, so I opened it up. I couldn't not laugh.
All right.
I'll get the next caller.
Let's move on to the next caller. Some more shots, by the way. Dill Wavis. By the way, Wafflefoot, thank you again. Dill Wavis, thank you to the Prime. Salazar, Schleppard for the 25 months, and then Merchant of Soul for a whole year. What are you laughing at, Damonte?
I just watched a clip as well. It's actually hilarious.
The cat jumping up?
Yeah.
People can go back and watch it, so. My referral code for the draft is Travis Gafford, by the way. It's a Nightbot has been putting it in there. Drakaz56 is here. Drakaz, where are you calling from?
Sacramento, California. How's it going?
Good. Did I get your name right?
Yeah.
I have a buddy named Nick Allen who lives in Sacramento, California, and he says that there's been some pretty big protests there.
Oh, yeah, it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you want to talk
Hollywood
about?
had 100,000 people
Yeah.
on Sunday. That was crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about on the show?
I wanted to just ask Damonte a question about the academy system and how difficult it is for young talent to, find their way up into the LCS and what it's like down there.
All right.
Is that the question, or do you?
Yeah, that's the question. That's the
Okay.
question.
Oh,
That's the
question?
topic too. Yeah.
Yes.
So your question is, what's it like rising up from academy?
Yeah, and like how difficult it is to, go into the LCS.
Well, I would say like my road to going to LCS was like really straightforward. I only played in academy for one split before I got my first chance at playing LCS, which was super lucky.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the academy system is kind of just you just need to prove to your team that you're not dead weight, and then you're kind of just sitting there and waiting for an opportunity on the main team to get a tryout or something. Because a lot of teams, especially if you're joining one of the middle of the pack teams, they will try different rosters out throughout the year, and you kind of just have to grind until you get an opportunity like that. And when the opportunity comes, you kind of just have to take it. So for me, it was really easy because when I first got my chance, I feel like I kind of did pretty well with it. But for others, they've been in the system for a long time, and I think that's just how it goes. Not everyone can really just go to academy and then go to LCS. I think some people just peak at academy, which is just the sad truth.
So we had LS on here last week, and we were talking about some of the coaching stuff and academy and all this stuff. And I talked to a GM or a couple of GMs actually about academy, and they were saying that it's not necessarily well run in terms of the scrim practice that people get. People tend to quit out more than LCS and stuff like that. Did you have an experience like that when you were playing in academy? Was it less structured and productive than LCS?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of the academy scrim days will end at 4 p.m. or it just won't be the same level of tryhard as the LCS scrims are, which kind of makes sense to me, but also it shouldn't really be acceptable. If the team really wants the academy system or their academy team to be good, then they should run it just as strict as their LCS team. I think the best academy team you see is C9 right now, and I feel like they practice really similar to their main team. All of the spring split, whenever we scrimmed C9A, it was very serious. It was very it was just good. It was good practice. But then sometimes when we scrimmed some of the other academy teams, it would just be okay, I guess we're just all gonna chill out today and have fun. And then it was not as good.
Why is that, you think?
I just think, there's pretty big skill disparity in some of the academy teams to the others. So I think that is a part of it as well. But other than that, I don't really know.
I'm just I'm curious if.
Yeah, is it players who aren't taking it seriously? Is it coaches who can't get their shit together for their academy
on
team?
the line? Like, is there a chance? Is there a way where you guys are potentially playing and you're like, man, there's just what are we even playing for? You know, there's no point, or I don't know. Like, what is it? Especially since you've played in both systems.
I mean, it happened in both systems, like both Academy and LCS. Whenever a team feels like they're no longer able to like do anything, they just will like soft hit scrims and quit trying as hard. I think that's like pretty common even for LCS teams. And then I don't really know how you can or what the exact problem is though. I feel like it's like a big combination of everything.
Right. I have just one more thing to put in there is do you think that NA Academy teams and just NA in general is hungry enough? Like for example, there are a lot of ex-pros in Academy, and just do you think they have the same drive that, you know, some of the younger players might? And do you think there's a lack of drive?
I think you have to go on like player by player case. I think
Right.
there's definitely a lot of players that are like ex-pros in Academy who just like you don't see them in solo queue ever, and then they just show up and do their like 8 hours of scrims, and then that's it. I think that stuff like that shouldn't be really acceptable. But I think if you have an old guard player or like someone who's been around for a while in Academy and they're still grinding every day, then they should be in Academy because players like that will raise the skill level of the new players as well.
Right.
Well, it's kind of bleak. I always feel like the Academy conversations just always sound so like it's not great. There's no plan to fix it, and
Just
they all
kind of
suck.
depressing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of it's, you know, like Travis was asking too about, oh, well, is there not enough incentive? You know, like that maybe Riot can help, but a lot of this is on the teams, you know?
I mean, the incentive is to play the LCS, and I think it's
Yeah.
like Academy is what you make of it. For me, it was great. Like even last split, I didn't have a lot of extreme issues with it. It was just like we were all in Academy, and everyone is not as good enough to play LCS, and that's why you're there, and you should use that in order to get better. But the people who just sit there and like victimize themselves in Academy will just never go LCS.
Do you see that sometimes? Do you see people that are just like, oh man, no team will take me. This sucks. I'm just gonna do my thing. And hopefully
Yeah,
the
for
best.
sure. I think there's players like that. They'd rather complain about everything than work hard, and that's like a very NA mentality.
Yeah.
And what do you know? Damonte doesn't have it, and he's got another starting spot
Yeah,
There
exactly.
you go.
after going to Worlds last year. What do you know?
Pug.
Drakaz, any final thoughts before we move on to the next caller?
No, that's it. That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, man.
All right. On to the next caller. Thank you to Quantum Monk, Gondram, LOL Globus, and Wortham for the subs. I super appreciate it. Looks like we got our next caller here. LOL Shenanigans 93. I appreciate the 93 at the end. Shenanigans, where are you calling from?
Buffalo, New York.
So I'm going to turn you up a bit. Where are you calling from?
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my take is that TSM made a huge mistake giving up on Dardoch too early, and that having a rookie jungler is going to be a huge mistake for them.
Yeah,
And
this
that
is...
jungle is a super important role, and their rookie's like a tough take for them.
Is he... So, Mark, do you think he's still a rookie, technically?
No, I'm pretty sure he's not. We were talking about this before, but I think it's fair. He hasn't found a rookie under like the traditional terms of it, but this is his first split coming in as a starter. So I think it's totally fair semantically to call him a rookie.
I mean, this is always such a difficult discussion because we don't really have great, like, has there been any more information that has come out yet about what it was like for Dardoch and TSM working together? Because it's like
we did get a little bit. Well, I guess it wasn't really about Dardoch and TSM getting together.
I heard Reginald and Dardoch got in a fist fight, and then Bjergsen came in, and then there was a three-way fist fight.
A three-way fist fight.
Yeah.
Who won? Why is Bjergsen hitting Reggie in a three-way fist fight?
Just, I mean, he has to be the middle ground, you know.
Do you know how fist
he's
fights work?
He's both a player and an owner, so he needs to hit both.
Yes. Makes sense. Anyway. I don't know.
I was going to say there's
ahead.
a little bit more info that came out just about like he was saying that like he got an apology from Reggie, but not for Alina, and they didn't do anything for him really after the leak thing came out. And I'm trying to find it right now to see if there's anything else he might have said.
Oh, really?
In a
Where did
broader
you see this on
context.
stream or what?
I don't remember where I saw it. I saw it earlier. I thought I saw it today, but I can't see it on the front page.
Oh, Invin Global interview.
Yeah, I didn't read it for the rest of what might have happened on TSM. I think I saw someone cut a part of this out. I don't think I saw this interview actually anywhere.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's fascinating, but not really relevant to the issue at hand, right?
I think it's hard to know if it's too early to get at what Travis was driving at, without learning more about what was going on behind the scenes or anything like that. So, like, it can be hard to say it was too early because I think the Dardoch that we saw at different points in the split where he was popping off really hard on set and stuff is, like, Dardoch at his best. And then come playoffs, he still had some good early games, but he was making some questionable decisions in the mid to late game. And it's hard to know if that is miscommunication or if that is like tilt, air quote tilt, just or whatever. But it's one of those things where you can easily say, no, look at the high points. They could easily get back there. Or you could look at the low points and be like, it wasn't going to get better. And we already saw that it wasn't good enough and wasn't really working out. And I'm probably a little bit more on the latter. Just because I've heard behind the scenes that things weren't really working on the team, even though TSM wasn't as public about it as some other teams have been. So I don't think on that front. I still think he's really good. I just don't.
That
was actually the other part of my take is that TSM has star power in literally every other role. You could literally say that their other 4 players are top 2 to 3 players in the role, and now they have an 8th best jungler in the league.
But you got to imagine, like, that alone to me is a pretty big sign that they must have had good reason for trading him, because I feel like if you're like, okay, now we got double lift, we feel really good about this lineup, let's just randomly trade Dardoch. It just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like they probably had some decent reason for doing it, especially given that, like, you gotta imagine they must have tried to get other junglers and weren't able to for whatever reason. Though again, this X-Smithy bench situation is fascinating to me. So I don't know.
I was gonna ask Damonte, have you played much with Spica? I don't think you've been on a team with him, right? But have you had much experience playing against him or anything?
He was like on Echo Fox when I was there at the tail end, and I like played some duo queue games with them. I think for the TSM stuff, it just comes down to like roster building. I think it makes sense for them to get kind of a jungler that their teammates can all mold what like he will do, because they have a lot of big names on the team and a lot of people who know like exactly how they want to play already. And if you keep someone like Dardoch has his own way he wants to play too, and that could at like a base level, like building a roster, that can just be an issue. So I think like how I see it is that they just don't think it would work as well with that, rather than just having more of a rookie.
And then what about Spica, like in your thoughts on him?
I think Spica was like in solo queue, he was always like the 1v9 carry jungler, but then in TSM, like the Gauntlet last year, they just put him on Jarvan instead of Juani, and then he looked really lost. So it really depends on what they want to do with their jungler. Like if they're just gonna make
what they want to do with their jungler.
Yeah, it's true. They're just gonna be a Jarvan instead of Juani bot, man. Poor guy. But who knows? Maybe they're gonna let him branch off, let him blossom into butterfly.
That seems not very TSM-esque, but who knows? Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. I think do I think that Dardoch is a better jungler than Spica? Then yes, I do. But it's difficult shenanigans for me to say. Let's say Dardoch was a pretty negative force on the team. Do you just opt into that for the rest of summer?
Probably not.
Especially when you're bringing another huge ego onto the team.
I know how it feels to have a toxic player in your team, so
Doublelift wants to have his comeback, and he needs someone who's going to dive bot 24/7.
Well, thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
Nope, just love the show.
Thank you. I think maybe it's time for us to take a quick break and for me to read this fortune cookie I just got, which says you'll discover new strength in an ongoing battle. I don't know. It's actually not. I'm not going to be able to show that to you guys, but it does say that. Anyway, and they must be referring to the new Alienware systems that have recently been announced. New strength in an ongoing battle. Well, I've got several ongoing battles and across dozens of different games that I've been playing, and having that strength is really good. Also, the battles that I have in esports and the strength of these systems to be able to help me edit and create content is incredible. Head over to alienware.com/Travis. They made a new code, by the way. They caught on. Some of you guys were, you just memorized the code. Travis 10 off Q2. So if you're having a hard time for whatever reason using the Travis 10 off code, use Travis 10 off Q2 so that you can continue to gain access to 10% off of your purchase on Alienware products at alienware.com/Travis. But while you're over there, be sure to check out their new M15, M17, their new Area 51M, and their new Auroras that are all on sale. Recently got announced, I think, just a couple of weeks ago. And also, they now have their wonderful, one of their monitors in Lunar Light. Multiple of them, but their most recent one now available in Lunar Light, which is the white one that I like. Let's see. Damonte's back. Damonte, welcome back. Oh, we can't hear you. Anyway, thanks so much to Alienware for sponsoring so much of what we do here. And stay tuned because we're working on some cool projects with them. I can't wait to show you. And hopefully they come to fruition. We're working on it. You okay, Damonte? Damonte.
What?
Sleeping during my sponsor plugs is perhaps not a great way to support the content.
Maybe you gotta put some more energy into your sponsor plugs, man.
Hey, thank you so much, Alienware, for sponsoring the show. It's incredible to have a partner like you. Be sure to check out alienware.com/Travis. There's a link in the video description. Travis 10 off Q2. That's the code.
Use your arms. You gotta get animated.
I don't know how to do that. All right. Now we got to kill time while Mark's gone. How you been?
Me? Like,
what's
my
the name of your
person?
dog?
Enzo.
Enzo?
Yeah.
X Ghost Rider
Good
90X says Alienware is overpriced. I think this is a common misconception. Actually, Linus Tech Tips, their team over... Oh, man, they have a new YouTube channel. I forget what it is. Begins with an S. They recently did a video on the Aurora desktop, and they found that the price difference between that and building your own was not that different. But you also got peripherals given to you with the desktop, and you also got a warranty, and also everything worked out of the box. So, I don't know. This is me going off script a little bit. It's not like a talking point for Alienware. I see people reply and they're like, wow, you can build the same system for like half the price. But, again, it's not always the case. And by the way, that was before they used Travis 10 off Q2 to save 10%. I think it probably would have come in line with it. The nice thing is these systems manufacturers are often able to get pretty big bulk discounts on products to keep their stuff competitive with building your own. Hey, Mark. Welcome back.
Hello.
We were waiting for you, and I think we're ready for the next caller.
All right. Well, I'll go get him then.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. Off
Oh
Mark goes.
boy.
People say stop selling out. Well, this is how we make content, so... I don't know what... Oh, it's, Short Circuit, I think is the name of it. Logistics Fleet 7 says.
Oh, it's Noble.
Noble is here. Noble, where are you calling from?
Hey, I'm from Montreal, Quebec.
From Quebec? Nice. My buddy Kelby's over there right now. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about EG being first in summer with if they're gonna play Huni actually.
If they're gonna what?
If they're
Huni.
gonna play Huni, yeah.
If they're gonna play Huni? Sorry, Kobe's yelling in the background. I don't know if people can hear that. How would they play Huni though? Because they've got a limit.
Definitely for Bang, right?
Well, I've heard somewhere that maybe he's gonna be a resident or something like that, but
He won't be a
That's not-
resident until next year.
oh, okay, then they maybe have to switch up or play Kumo. But didn't Brandini left Academy, like their Academy roster top laner left?
I mean, I don't I'm not sure. I think the last I heard he was still there, but if he's not on that academy roster anymore, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It's a golden glue angle.
What's that?
It's an NA mid laner angle. AKA
But for
golden
top
glue.
lane.
I'm gonna
No,
close
it's-
this door so I can actually hear what's being said because Kobe's just screaming.
God, what is it with Travis, huh? He always complains about,
Just ruining the damn
professionalism, and then he's having this show in a zoo while he eats his dinner.
Your cat literally is attacking you on the show. Who's having the show on the
My
zoo?
cat
That
is
was the best part of the show,
desperate.
man.
Hey, come here, buddy. He's desperate for cuddles, okay? And I was denying him, and he has every right to attack me for that. And he didn't even attack. He was just trying to jump in my lap, and I raised my arm at the. Oh fuck, my camera's too loose. I gotta tighten this bad boy up a little
All
bit.
right, anyway, let's get back onto the topic. So, Noble, here's the problem. I don't. You want to say EG is going to be first, but it sounds like the roster you wanted to make is not possible.
Well, either way, I think they have the strength to take on C9 in summer. Like if they put Huni on and they maybe swap another player off and put their academy player, I think maybe they're gonna do really well. Because one of their weak points, in my opinion, in regular season spring was Kumo in the top lane. He didn't perform super well. Just
Yeah, but who are you putting in? I mean,
Yeah.
this is not an arbitrary thing where you can be like, yeah, Kuma wasn't great, so they're going to put an upgrade, and I'm not going to acknowledge that. That means that we're probably making a sacrifice in this other lane. So what do you think they should do? At least give me the roster that's preferred to you.
Well, I think if they play the current roster, if Kumo improved a little bit, they'll have a better chance on taking on C9. If they want to play Huni, then they can maybe swap Jizuke or maybe another player on the team that is an import. I think it's
Bang.
Bang, yeah. And maybe try to play more around top lane with Huni being their carry player.
But
And
but
also
again, to Mark's point, like, okay, so you feel like Kumo is not strong enough.
not at the moment. I think
Okay,
Huni's
but
stronger.
won't they have that same issue in bot lane or mid lane if they swap for an academy player?
If the academy player performs better than how Kuma would perform in the top lane, I think it would be overall good for EG.
I mean, I agree that improving your team it makes is better for the team, right? Like if you're swapping in an upgrade in 2 slots, you're definitely going to have or if you're overall upgrading your team, you're definitely going to have better
Yeah, I mean,
chances.
it's not like this one variable equation though. If you take someone out and like the top laner is better than Kumo, but you took out someone who's really good, like both Bang and Jizuke were. I think they were both second team All Pro or like around that level. Like you're not going to get that from Gyu, who's also an import, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
He's minor region, so no, he still counts. Okay, yeah, he's an import. And then definitely is, I think, an LCS caliber player, but he's not Bang, in my opinion. So, yeah, you can say Huni's better than Kumo, but Bang's better than Deathly. So, and also you need to figure out how this actually plays as a team. They got a ton of wins last split off Jizuke being the early game playmaking madman while the side lanes were safe for the most part, and then Bang became a late game powerhouse. Yes, you can put Huni in, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same thing.
Damonte, what do you think EG would need to do in order to become a top 2 top lane team?
I feel like they could probably just do something similar to last split. They were 3rd place last split, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like on a different day they could probably beat FlyQuest. So
That would
I
get
don't
them
know.
top 2, but do you think there's any world in which they can compete with EG or sorry, C9?
Maybe next year when Huni's playing.
Yeah. Yeah, Noble, I think you're just going to have a hard time getting the 3 of us to agree that there's any chance that they can take on C9 and win with their current lineup.
Yeah, we'll see in summer in a few days.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
Yeah, it's one of my friend's birthday today, Lucas. So yeah, shout out to him. Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday, Lucas.
Happy birthday, Lucas.
We're good.
All right, real quick, Twitch chat coming at me for not filtering the calls. First off, it's not like it's my only fucking job. I have to respond to people. And when someone says, with Huni, EG can be number 1, I assume that means that they're coming in, when I read that they understand how import rules work. why blame me? Why not be like, hey guys, figure out your own takes before you come on. How about that, huh?
It is very easy for Twitch chat who are too cowardly to come on the show with their own takes.
Yeah, you guys come on here with your take. I'll blast you right off the same way. Let's go.
It's a frequent thing.
Why, Ayana?
I talk about this sometimes on the YouTube comments, but like, people want better takes for the show. Sometimes they don't like the takes that are there. One, I think a lot of times people disagree on the takes, right? Like some TSM fan calls in and says TSM could be number one. A lot of the TSM fans are probably like, that's a great take. And then the other fans are like, that's a terrible take. And then
I understand the frustration when someone comes on, doesn't even understand the rules, so their take completely comes apart at the wheels. But at the same time, I don't have time to read everyone's like fucking mountain of text that they want to send. Like, I'm not going to read a paragraph. When people put paragraphs in Discord, my eyes glaze over. I like the small little ones that have like, maybe one bullet point. I think Huni's going to add an extra element if they do this. And the guy didn't actually understand that he would have to bench someone, so he wasn't prepared to talk about it. Whatever. We'll move on to the next caller. Can't help it. It's just how it goes with a live call-in show.
Off mark goes to get the next caller right now, actually. Damonte.
Hi.
What do you and Acadian do for food?
For food? We eat a lot of Chipotle.
Okay.
Mainly.
What do you get the burrito or the burrito bowl?
I get, okay, so this is the meta. We get one burrito and one burrito bowl, and then you eat one for lunch and one for dinner.
Okay.
And then you save on the Postmates delivery fee, and then you're also getting like pretty nice nutrients for your body.
That's what I say about dumpster diving too, dude. There's no delivery fee. It's right out back.
Do you save the bowl or the burrito?
Depends if I want my dopamine spike in the lunchtime or the nighttime, So like it gets switched up. But like today,
The burrito gives you the dopamine spike?
Yeah, the burrito is definitely way more dopamine for sure. But
Okay.
like today, I went all out and I got 2 burritos. Kind of just want to live life on the edge.
Oh, double the dopamine.
Yeah, double dopamine spike.
That's dangerous. Mark, are you grabbing the next caller?
For people, yeah, there are. Oh wait, he didn't. What the hell? I tried to pull him, he didn't pop in. I was gonna say, I'm not salty. This is just how I get when I want to be feisty, and it's fun. I'm gonna be fun. Anyways, here's the next caller.
And by the way, really quickly, Newt6 says, you and Peter fighting? First time in a while I've not seen him do his first interview with you, Spring Splits parts, or maybe you cooking up an interview in the back. I'm not fighting with Peter. I'm on good terms with Peter. I requested an interview with Double If for from TSM, and they did not give me one, and gave it to another outlet. So there's nothing I can do there, but that's just the way it went. Wafflefoot is here. Wafflefoot, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Mainly a topic for Damonte, but it was about managing your personal brand as a player. Despite Damonte, no offense, you're not a split winning mid right now. At least you haven't been, because you haven't won a split. But this last split, everybody in all the people watching LCS were like, oh, they should be putting Damonte in instead of bringing in Ica, or they should put in Damonte instead of Crown when Crown was faltering. And I really feel like a lot of that has to do with how Damonte has, whether knowingly or unknowingly, worked on his personal brand and been more of a community figure, doing things like Hotline League, being a part of other community content and things like that. So that's my take. My question is how do you go about managing your personal brand, or is it even really a thought in your head most of the day whenever you're playing solo queue and stuff like that?
Where do I start? I would say, first of all, like, you can't actually have a player brand if you're just really bad. So that's kind of where you have to start. Like, winning is more important than anything you could say in like almost any like interview. Like, there's countless amount of players who don't really have like a big outwards brand or personality, but they win all the time. So then that's like their brand. So that's like the first thing. And then like the second thing I say, like, it's pretty simple, at least for me, to relate with people. And I think that's like what I abuse the most, because I feel like I'm not socially as awkward as a lot of the pro players. And I don't know, and maybe that's not what you're asking exactly, but
no,
like,
it actually is.
Like,
I do agree. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to Wafflefoot's point, Damonte, the other thing is like, you do a lot more content. Like, I know when I ask you to come on a Hotline League that there's a good chance you'll say yes, whereas there are a lot of pro players that just instantly say no. And so I don't know if that's a calculation for you where you're like, I don't know if you're like, wow, I like Travis and Mark so much, so that's why I'm going to do the show. Or if you're thinking to yourself, oh, this will be good for me.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, when it comes to content, it's, like, really... It's good if you do it because you get more fans, but a lot of the time, it's extra work, right? So you just kind of have to... It's just a trade-off. Like, you get less time just doing what you want to do, or, like, doing nothing, like, just relaxing, and then you have to, like... I see you smiling, Mark.
It's because you're dodging the question. The question was, do you come on here because you see us as a means to an end for brand building, or is it because we're your friends?
I mean, it could be both, but I'm legitimately curious.
No, it's only one or the other. Either he's using us or we're friends.
I think it's important to have a personality outside of just what you can do in the game, because it also gives you backup plans for...
well, you should be a fucking politician, dude, the way you dodge these questions.
No, I mean, I think either answer is great for me, right? Because I have been somewhat disappointed in the newer crop of LCS pros, because I remember in the back years ago when we just had a ton of personalities and people that would say interesting things and do really interesting interviews, and it was like a great time for LCS. And I definitely feel as though the LCS overall has less notable characters in it, and a lot of the people that are still around are just far less interested in streaming, doing content, etc., etc. I think they just kind of feel like they don't need to, or they've already made it or something. So I don't know. I think it's good that you are interested in doing this stuff.
I think there's like a lot of snowflakes in the scene too. Just like everyone just gets sad if they get anything bad said about them, and it's just like no one wants to keep doing stuff as soon as one person says something bad. So everyone should just not be babies and just do shit.
You mean like a Reddit thread or something is shitty about them?
I mean, Reddit threads, or just like if you say something spicy and then like it ends up being bad for you, then someone will just never do it again.
You live with Acadian. How does he feel about his whole like TSM will Smurf soon thing and all that shit? Because that was a pretty legendary meme. Was it last year?
Yeah, I think I talked to him about it. He said it was just like he didn't even mean to make it a meme. He was just like, he really felt that the team was like super Smurf at the time, and that no one noticed it but the team themselves. And he just typed it in Twitch chat, being 100% serious, and it just became a meme.
I mean, our wrath will be legendary.
Our wrath will be swift. How dare you?
Oh yeah, our wrath will be swift, or whatever. That feels a little memey, is it not?
I think he was just going for like the unique angle, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's good. I love that stuff. It's so good for the league, but I feel like so many people are way more interested in being diplomatic.
Not everything catches on like that either, though. Like, when you're on TSM, everything you do becomes like 20x, because everyone either wants to see you win or lose terribly. But like, people on the other teams don't really get that much of a spotlight.
Yeah, I mean, to return to your point though about like people need to just be able to take some more stuff on the chin. Like, Golden Glue and yourself have taken a lot of shit over the years, and it's not like Golden Glue is someone who shies away from public opinion, or like when, you know, being confident about himself and stuff like that. And same with you. Like, I think that is a good point, that people should not be afraid to be confident. And like, you can see that, look, here's Golden Glue. He's been doing it for like 6 years now, and he's still around, and people are his fans. A lot of it's because of that like attitude. So I don't think people need to be quite as scared about getting memed for a little bit on the internet, because you'll always have a chance to change people's opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
Any
other thoughts? Well, oh, sorry, Mark, go ahead.
I was going to say, the other thing is, I do think that there are some pros who are trying to make an effort to brand build, but it's just not the same as it was back in the day when it was also new and fresh. Like, I think a lot of the C9 guys are pretty good about it. Like, Niski, for the most part, does a lot of interviews. He's a goofball. Licorice wants to get out there. Damonte's trying to get out there. I just think it's a little bit harder.
It's true, and I don't want to take anything away from those guys, and I think a lot of them do a lot of memeing and silliness, and even show up sometimes in the Twitch chat of this show. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of players that just aren't interested. Maybe that's the way it's always going to be, but it does make me yearn for the days. And man, there are some pro players that are still around that just don't they used to create great content or be super engaging, and I don't know if they're just burned out on it or they're too busy focusing on gaming, but it's just not the same as it used to be, and I sometimes miss those days, and then I think about how much of a chaos it was, and I don't miss it, but you get the point.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to juggle both, I
Yeah.
would say, for sure.
Wafflefoot, any final thoughts before I move on to the next caller?
No final thoughts on that. Thank you guys for having me on. It's been a pleasure, like it always is. Shout out to Alienware and to DraftBuff. Shout out to Twitch Prime, which you can sub with right now.
Wow.
And lastly, wish me luck. I just applied for social media manager for Team Liquid's LCS team. So,
Well, good luck.
Hey, good luck.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You got it, bro.
Have a good one.
good night.
And immediately we got a Twitch Prime in the sub or in the chat from Demillo. Thank you, Weird Dude 25, Quiblo, Riri Kiri, MX Fig, Darkstar Natsu, Beast Mode Games, Yuma Street, Anti TP, Gundram, and yeah, thank you everyone for the subs. Twitch chat now trying to find the link for that. He's advertising. He's creating competition for himself with shouting that out. I hope I said your name right. It's always just a 50-50, so who knows. Narei is here. Narei? Is that how you say your name?
Hello.
Hello. Where are you calling from?
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Are you... And I don't mean to make fun of you, but are you calling from a walkie-talkie?
I just really sure this is better.
It's a little better. It's just...
It's not that bad, dude. What the hell?
No, it's just a very funny thing, because I've never had somebody call in and sound like they're calling in like a radio talk show thing. It's just very funny. What do you want to talk about on the show?
My hot take is that TSM won't be top 3. I think they're gonna get 4th.
Okay. Well, they got 4th last time, so I'm not sure if this is super hot. But what makes you feel like they can't make top 3? And who do you think is going to be up there instead?
It's because they made, like I said, their 4th and 5th last split, and then this split they downgraded their jungler, Dardoch, for Academy Spica, and we've already seen what he's shown from last year. Spica didn't show much, and we've seen him play like the last caller already discussed. They were playing like Jarvan and Sejuani. They're probably like, if they don't change anything, they're gonna keep having him play the same champions, so it's going to be like a repeat of last split. Plus, I don't think Broken Blade is that good at playing weak side, and Double Lift is going to ask for a lot of resources. And also, from last split's performance, you're placing a 9th place ADC onto a 5th, 4th place team. So I don't see how this roster can get, definitely not win, but can get even top 3. It's going to be really hard. I think number 1 is going to be Cloud9, number 2 PL, and number 3 is going to be a fight between all the other teams besides CLG and CLG and Immortals, who are just going to 9th and 10th.
Okay, so one of your points, by the way, was you took a 9th place ADC and put him on this team to try to get top 3, but then you want to put 4 9th place players into 2nd place.
Oh yeah, because I think a lot of the problems was because they couldn't work. They didn't have good synergy because Double didn't want to try. That's a huge problem if you don't want to try, because you're making a ton of money and a lot of people want your position. And if you don't want to try, you're not motivated. Your whole team is not gonna feel good, and no one's gonna I don't think the synergy is good. So that's not good. And also they brought Jat. I think Jat is a genius. I think he's going to make the team really good.
Okay.
All right, let's calm down with the Jat praise. I like some of your other points more. I especially like the point about Broken Blade playing weak side. I think this is one of the biggest hurdles that this team probably faces, is ever since Broken Blade has come to the LCS, he has more or less been one of the key people getting resources in terms of playing carries, playing around him. Not that they hard camp for him or anything like that. And he does play Ornn. He's a very good Ornn. He can play set and stuff like that. I think it can work. But it's about being able to do that over and over again, or is it going to be this kind of thing where they're flip flopping play styles constantly, which happened last split, where they were, okay, this is the Bjergsen playing tanks mid shit randomly, and here's this other random ass all early game draft and things like that. So I do have concerns about this team finding their identity.
Yeah, I thought the Dardoch Broken Blade duo was super good. They should have just let Dardoch do their thing, but I think they shackled him like TSM does the junglers. So I don't see, unless their problem gets fixed with bringing in Veigar, I'm not sure how they're going to improve.
I appreciate so much of your takes because I feel like they are just straight from Reddit. Like these are so many of like the TSM takes that I've seen places before, memeing on the jungler and all that. I think so, Mark. I think we've had somebody call on before to predict whether or not TSM would get top 3, and I think the verdict you and I landed on is the league is too weak to confidently say that TSM can't get into top 3, even if we agree that perhaps they don't have the most compelling offering starting in summer.
Yeah, that was basically the take. Damonte, what do you think about TSM? I want to get your thoughts on them.
I think they're gonna have like a really high like starting level. Like the ceiling or not, or the floor, the skill floor is really high because they are back to like 3 of their original players, and I feel like they were like Bowfrost,
Doublelift, yeah.
Pearson. Like those 3 will already have synergy, so their skill floor is already good. And then I mean, it just depends what they do with Spica, honestly. I think if they don't let Spica like try to be himself a little bit, then the team is not going to be as good as it can be. But if they find a way to let Spica be himself, then the team is probably going to be really good.
The jungle meta, from what people have been telling me, is pretty good for not like hard carry, but pretty impactful playmaking. Do you think that's still the case, or I don't know?
Yeah, it seems like with like the changes that happened in midseason, that jungle is like having a lot more impact on the game now from like a carrying aspect. Not even just like they're gonna gank and they're gonna get a lane ahead and that lane will carry, more so that like the jungler actually has a way bigger role in the game now throughout the whole like time.
So do you think? Did you say top 3 or no? Sorry, I say you said high skill floor, and it's about if they can actually integrate Spica. But what do you think will happen? Will they do it?
They'll probably be like top 4. I don't know. I feel like the 4th, 3rd, 2nd place teams are gonna be like all up in there. I think C9 is probably just gonna be the best team again, though. I think that's like the only thing is concrete.
I would agree with that. I would say maybe since we're starting this split, I think we can make some predictions, and I would say it feels like the race for and no offense to Golden Guardians. The race for 2nd, 3rd is just going to be like what? FlyQuest, EG, TSM. Do we want to put Team Liquid up there yet, Mark?
I think it's fair to put Team Liquid in the mix.
Like it just feels like it's going to be this kind of awkward pool right up until playoffs, and then I don't think that we're going to have like a solid. These are like the best teams, which I think will make playoffs really hype. Because it'll be like, it'll probably come down to the wire on who's going to make it to Worlds and who isn't, assuming Worlds happens. But I don't know. It's so difficult for me to say right now, like, oh, these are the 3 teams that'll be really solid going in, other than C9. So I don't know. It's just difficult for me to stand one way or the other on your take, Narei.
Oh, well, it's fine. I think it'll be easier to see once the split starts to see how TSM plays.
It's one of those things where 3rd is just about like the acceptable level where it's hard to make a definitive answer. If you were like they won't be top 5, then I'd be like, ooh, I might argue back with you. Or if you're like they're for sure 2nd or something, but not top 3 is believable, but also not unbelievable.
Okay, I thought a lot of people thought TSM would be winning, so that's why.
I think people are excited.
TSM and Double fans, I feel like, are really in belief of that. I think Mark and I don't tend to. We're not really fans, right? So it's easier for us to come at things with a
we
more
would like to be doing
approach.
anything but this show.
Either way, what?
We're not fans.
No, I mean, we look at things with a different perspective than somebody who's like TSM, TSM, TSM. You know, like it's a little different.
Okay.
Either way, Narei, any final thoughts before we move on to the next caller?
No, thank you for having me on the show, and I hope G2 wins Worlds.
You hope G2 wins Worlds. Big G2 fan. Thanks for the call.
Yep, thank you.
I suddenly soured on her a lot right at the end there for some reason.
Let's take a break really quickly.
What?
Yeah.
I just said I don't.
Like, the callers come in, they're like, "Oh my god, I get to be on a talk show with Travis Gafford and Mark Zimmerman and ex guest," and then they just get shit on by both of you guys, and then
Why did we shit on her? All I said was I don't like G2 basically, and that I don't want to be doing the show. That was making more Travis.
And I said
And that
she sounded like she's on a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
All right, you know what? Travis is a jerk. I agree. You make
Yeah,
a good point, Damonte.
I apologize. Damonte has shown me the light. Let's take a quick break actually, and talk about DraftBuff. This is a fun moment for us because we get to talk about the competition we're doing. If you type !fantasy into the chat, which I know everybody's going to do, it only works when you do it once. You'll see a link. Anyway, you can take a look at. You can sign up and join our Draft Royale for DraftBuff, which we have. Oh, Red Rain is gifting subs. Thank you. We are now part of. I don't know if you noticed, Mark, but there's like hundreds and hundreds of people that have joined this already. I think through the tweets or whatever, but that I put out earlier. But you can now, for this weekend, create a team and go up against Mark and myself and other Hotline League listeners. And that link it'll be in the description of the YouTube video, but it's also Nightbot is sharing it right now in Twitch chat. And you'll join Travis Gafford's Draft Royale. And right now we've got 977 people in it with different teams. I'm going to go ahead and pull up my chat. By the way, for those of you that don't know, maybe you missed the previous episodes, DraftBuff is a fantasy app that's available on iOS and Android, where you can play fantasy leagues and these draft royales, which are maybe 1 week in fantasy or limited fantasies, not a full league or full split situation. And let's see if we can pull this up. Something went wrong. There we go. So this is my team that we've got. I'm just going to cover Damonte because he was pretending to sleep earlier. This is my team. I drafted Impact, Closer, Niski, Doublelift, Corja J, and Cloud9. So, Damonte, isn't it cool, by the way, that I have your teammate on here, that I drafted them? Okay.
He's got the half of one of the top 3 mid-jungle 2v2s.
Yeah, exactly. One of the top 3. And then where's Mark's? There we go. Mark has Poncer, Blabber, Niski, Tactical, Ignar, and Cloud9. So the interesting thing about Doublelift is he was super inexpensive because he underperformed so much last split. So you can actually he's a bargain deal. But you went with Tactical, Mark. So why'd you do that?
Tactical was 25 doll hairs. I wanted Blabber, Niski. They were many doll hairs. Yeah, that's my entire reasoning right there.
You said you wanted to make fun of my team. Did you disagree with the decision?
All of it.
What's wrong with it?
Every single choice you made. Don't TSM and TL play each other or something? Because it's only for 1 weekend,
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really bloody game.
I mean, yeah. I feel like you shouldn't be drafting people who play against each other if it's a 1 week format.
You're guaranteeing points that way. I just want to finish.
You're guaranteed points no matter what because they're gonna load into the fucking game.
Yeah, but I just want to beat you, and I feel like this is a way to ensure it because maybe yours is going to dramatically underperform.
Yeah, maybe.
You're gonna get last out of all 1,000 people, Travis.
I mean, there's going to be more than 1,000 people.
You will get last.
Done. No, but I actually think it's really cool. A bunch of people have been tweeting their different teams at me based off of that tweet, and it's interesting to see people generally.
Damonte, did you make one?
Should I make one?
Go make one right now.
Do I have to do it on my phone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I use BlueStacks to do it.
You can download it on your phone.
I just
A lot of
Yeah.
people are picking either double lift or tactical, which I think is interesting. That those seem to be the ones that keep popping up over and over again in these. And almost everyone picks Cloud9 as their team, which I think is probably a smart decision. But
So I don't actually know how. I didn't look into the calculations, but like C9 was like barely more expensive. They're like 10 more than the next best player. So I was like, wait, C9's super fucking good. Why wouldn't I just pick them? But I don't know how the point scoring works for teams, if it's different. I assume it's different than
DraftBuff
players.
can answer that, and they're in Twitch chat right now. Which, by the way, if anybody in Twitch chat has questions about it, you can just at DraftBuff, and they will answer stuff for you. But either way, I think it'd be really cool to see a ton of people in the Hotline League Draft Royale, and we can discuss it next week to see how everybody did. And if I came out ahead of Mark by my guaranteeing point strategy, or if he comes out ahead of me by his probably superior play strategy, and we'll see how things go. But yeah, be sure to check out DraftBuff. There's a link in the description below. You can do !fantasy in the Twitch chat, and be sure to join up. Oh, by the way, you can use referral code Travis Gafford. It'll get you some extra points for cosmetic stuff in the app if you would like. Thanks so much to DraftBuff for sponsoring it, and I'm actually really excited to see how stuff goes this weekend with the opening of this. So, thanks. Moving on to the next caller. Where are we at? Okay. Looks like we got 3 callers left. Damonte, besides ruining my sponsor plugs, which are the whole point of the show, making money for Mark and I, how are you doing?
I don't think I'm ruining the show for you and Mark, though. I think I'm just ruining the show for you.
Oh, maybe that's true. Popsovich is here. There's Popsovich subscribed. Spencer Neutron subscribed. Jingles KC. Tom Shu. Obi Pone Kenobi. Kyle0808. Hey, good to see you. And Rising X Fatality. We got Bubbles is here. Bubbles, wait, you've been on the show before, right? Yeah, you have.
I was here last week, yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, where are you calling from again?
Parker, Colorado.
Parker, Colorado. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So my opinion is that the LCS, the teams rely too heavily on importing talent rather than risking it for building up new talent. Some examples that I have thought of are like Jensen, Niski, Damonte, or even Bjergsen back in Season 3 when TSM brought him in off of, I think it's Copenhagen Wolves, taking a risk on someone who they thought had talent and building him into what they needed, versus teams. I really think about like Huni, Dignitas spending so much money for him to not perform to the level that they figured he would.
So I'm a little confused. You said that you think teams don't do, like, that they spend too much time on imports, but then you mentioned situations where both imports have succeeded and failed.
So I feel that while Jensen, yes, Jensen, Niski, and Bjergsen are all imports, when they came over, they weren't huge names. Maybe I should rephrase it that they rely heavily on
focusing
importing
too much
big
on
names.
big name imports rather than on imports that are rookies.
Yeah, it's something that they can build on and that have a lot of potential.
Are you a fan of the Ryoma and Ica pickups?
I don't feel they're terrible for their first split. I was kind of excited when I did see they got picked up, but I feel that they're going to need a little bit of time. Like Jensen, I use Jensen as an example, that when he came in, he was on a pretty strong C9 team. However, his showing, especially I think of the first game that he played against Bjergsen, was terrible. But since he's grown now, he's got, I think, 4 titles?
So, on the other hand, and by the way, I want to say Jensen was a pretty well-known name whenever he came over, I feel like. So, and Bjergsen kind of was too. I mean, they were definitely more established than Ryoma and Ica.
Yeah. Damonte, what do you think about all these big name, contract stealing, washed up pros coming from other regions to take our spots?
I mean, I don't even think it's just players from other regions too. I think there's a lot of recycled NA talent as well. And I think teams should just play their academy players instead of like getting the big name players and saying it's for their brand. I think that's like really not optimal. Because I don't think players have a brand when they're just really washed.
Why don't
teams
you
do that? Sorry.
Sorry?
Do you think teams do that? They get these big name players and they do it for brands?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Damonte, can you compile a small list real quick of people that you'd want to out right now as people? I think it's a fine line that I think sometimes the public wants to be the judge of too readily. Like PoE is a good example of someone who came over for the money for all the wrong reasons. He said he liked Europe, and then he left. So European fans hate him, and North American fans hate him because he's like, I want to get to Worlds and win and shit. And they're like, how are you going to do that on Optic? I think that's who he joined first, you know? And now here he is, you know, in the finals at North America and having, some great splits.
After CLG fans were like, get this guy out of here, right?
Right, yeah.
Wait, when PoE was on CLG?
Yeah, CLG fans were not... They had no issue with him leaving, and I think he said something like, I brought a lot to that team in an interview with me, and like the CLG subreddit for the however many people are there still, they took pretty big issue with that, and then they finished 10th place. And
a lot of people... Sorry, go ahead.
That was like the most true statement by PoE ever. I think PoE was like the entire CLG team in the summer split. So like, I don't know, PoE is like an exception because that guy is so damn good. I feel like if you put him on any team, that he's probably gonna make that team like top 5, top 6.
There's other really like players that have done a lot. You say he's the exception, but I think of players like Someday and Bang who have come over and really done great things for their teams, right?
Yeah, well, I think to the point I was making was that oftentimes people will take a bad split or something, fans in particular, and say that this person just didn't give a shit and they just came for the money or something, even though they... like the PoE example, people thought he was leaving, never cared about winning again, and that kind of stuff. So, there are like Soaz is a modern example of people who think he's just coming to steal a paycheck, nepotism, all French, immortals, and all this stuff that people say. But like, is it totally outlandish to imagine Soaz leaving Immortals and then going to another North American team and having a great split? That's not out of like the possibility for me at all. So I think it can be a fine line where fans want to judge them, but I think the overall sentiment still tracks that there are too many recycled players from other regions and stuff like that, when there should be more options given to upcoming North American talent as well as talent from other regions. As we talked about with LS in the last episode, there's North American talent who is falling through the cracks.
Yeah. But we talked about how Academy is a shit system that doesn't do a great job of lifting players up and building them.
Well, sure. But I think you can incentivize that maybe by being better about giving them opportunities.
Yeah.
So maybe, and like some of the stuff is on the team end as well about making sure that their coaching staff is actually good about being disciplined. Even though pro players should as well do better, the orgs can do that end too.
I just think it's kind of you're screwed either way unless you're winning. If you're winning, everything's great. If you're losing, then why the hell did you pick up these no-name players from these other regions, you idiot? And if you're losing and you have stars, and it's like, why did you pick up these washed players from other regions? They're just stars that have, now they're here for a paycheck, you idiot. And if it's just like rookie talent from North America, it's like, why are you wasting your time on these players that nobody's ever heard of? Actually give me good players. Well, you're not even trying. You're a joke, you idiot. So
So you disagree?
I know. I just I think it's interesting because I think it's really easy to say, well, we keep recycling these players, but it's not always clear where you're supposed to get the players, and when you do and they don't do well, you get punished. So it's kind of like we've not set up a system wherein we are willing to let teams experiment. We're just like unable to accept anything that they do that isn't leading us to victory, I think. And I think it's created like a sort of perverse system.
But why are all the teams like such snowflakes? Why do they care what random people say?
Because
ask that.
Because I think they're... It feels really bad if you are running a team. It feels really bad to be losing a lot. You get pressure from the fans. You get pressure from your team owners and investors. You get pressure from all these people. Like, nobody seems to ever be willing to accept the, like, we're in this for the long haul type answer in the LCS. And I think the fact that, like, LCS isn't a traditional sports league that's been around for like 40 or 50 years, people think of things as like, I want results now. They're not really willing to think about things in like the 10-year time frame, even 5-year time frame. And so I think, and you see rosters just blow up immediately when things don't go well, right? Like, it's not a situation, you rarely see situations where, okay, cool, we think these players are all going to be good in like 2 years from now. It's like, if you don't do well, you blow stuff up. CLG's an example. Well, they've had a long-standing thing, but even them, like, they decided they're going to recommit to like summer, and we're criticizing them for not making immediate changes, even though they did make changes during spring. So I don't know. I think it's difficult to find the right answer whenever all of them seem to be the wrong one.
I don't know. I think I didn't name any players that I have strong opinions about because I don't want to turn it into that. But I agree with Damonte's sentiment a little bit that there's definitely a recycling of some talent that, like, what are you expecting to have changed from what you've last seen of some of these?
That I will agree with. That I 100% agree with.
If I've watched a player for 5 years and they've been around the same level for over 5 years, I'm not saying this person doesn't deserve a job or they're not a person, they're not trying hard, but like, like if they're just there to pad out a roster, I get it a little bit, but that's not like,
yeah,
I think someone else deserves a
like,
shot.
Hey, when was the last time this player did anything really notable and had any results? And like, I get that, but I also it's difficult to me too when I hear, well, you should just put new talent in that role.
Yeah, but like, just look at the guy in the call with us. Damonte made it to Worlds, NA talent, not on a team in spring.
Yeah,
it's just like there's no world that should be right.
I mean, I agree with that. I will definitely agree with that, and I've said that before on the show. Are you okay, Damonte? You look like you're zoned out.
No. I mean, I'm just trying to soak in the call, or the information you guys are saying.
Sure.
I get that too. People always think I'm not paying attention when I'm actually focused.
Well, I mean, this is just like this topic, I like think about it a decent amount. It's just like, I think if there's players that have been around for a long damn time, and then you look at what they have done in the past couple years, and if none of them have done anything, then I think at that point that team should just take a risk on an academy player. And no, they don't have to put in the whole academy team, because if you do that, obviously the team is going to be last place. But like, you have to just be willing to do it and be like, okay, like I didn't have them enough money to buy a bunch of superstars, so I'm just going to go put in these academy players rather than get in like these older players that might just, I mean, they might not even get me to playoffs, but they're just like have a brand or something.
Do you think it's difficult, Damonte? Because also building rosters requires buy-in from the players that are on the team. So if you have 3 veterans and you say, hey, 3 veterans, this player is available, but then you know him and you think he's like solid but not great, but we're going to try this rookie that no one's ever heard of. It's difficult sometimes to get those players to stick around, is my understanding.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's the case 100%. And
like, I don't think it's always on the teams. I think the teams are sometimes held hostage by these players that are like, I want my friend to play on this team with us, and I'm not signing unless you hire them.
I mean, as much as people meme about like the Golden Guardians roster that was like everyone thought was going to get the one like a while ago.
The high one?
Yeah.
The initial one?
Yeah, that one. With like a bunch of young players and shit. Like, at least I'm like, there was some identity that you could understand about trying to get more young players in the league and stuff like that. And I think if a team, like to Damonte's point, is trying to get a bunch of guys together and they realize it's not going to come across in their off season, instead of signing those 3 veteran players who are going to be cranky when they're in 7th and they don't want you swapping in new players or some shit, then like just sign them from the beginning or something, or make it, like have the hard conversation and stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's possible.
I think it's always a bummer that original Golden Guardians roster didn't do well, because I think it's funny, everybody. So that was Hanser, Contracts, High, Deathly, and Matt, I want to say.
I don't think it was Hanser right
no,
away.
Lorlo.
Yeah, I think it was Lorlo.
No, it was Hanser, right? Because hadn't he just come off a TSM?
No, it was 2018.
They picked up.
Hanser was still there in 2018.
So I think that's a team that it's very funny, because now it's really easy in hindsight to look back and be like, well, I mean, obviously that was never going to work out because of X reason, and X reason. But it's the type of team that I feel like a lot of Hotline League callers would want, right? Like, oh, wow, you found like some new rookie talent, and you found some players that were underutilized before, and you put like a veteran with High who's a shot caller. Like, the story they were able to tell, I think, was a pretty good one. And oh, look, it's all, local NA native talent, and it just fell apart so quickly, and it didn't do well.
And you can look at other things that happened there too. Like, supposedly Loco was going to be this coach with lots of experience who was going to teach them, and then that whole fiasco happened, and he's gone, and stuff like that. So like, I don't hate what Golden Guardians did there, and I appreciate it more than some of the teams who do things where they're just signing talent that is just like, when you look at it, you're pretty sure nothing serious is going to happen.
Yeah. Damonte, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that type of stuff.
I mean, I feel like as I listen more, I feel like it's like the conversation is really negative, but I do think if you think about it, there's actually been a decent amount of new players that actually have been coming up over the last couple of years. So I don't think it's like all doom and gloom for sure.
Who are some of the good players that you're... I'm not saying I disagree, I'm just curious for...
I think like
sake.
Blabber did. I mean, Licorice was like, I guess 2.5 years ago at this point. And Vulcan.
Yourself, I think, is a fair throw in there.
You could say me. You could say like Johnson. I think Johnson is on the same like track now. I think off the top of my head, like who else? Like I don't think it's all.
I mean, that's a decent list.
Super doomed.
Yeah, you can throw maybe Fake God on there, like depending on how much you want to like. Where the cutoff is in terms of skill in air quotes, but like Fake God, Viper, some guys like that.
And I think like the way that a lot of these players came up was that they got put on a team with a bunch of veterans, and I think that's how it should be. Just like, I think a team, if they want to have a new player, they can't just put in a bunch of new players or like a bunch of old players. They just have to like throw one new guy in with like a bunch of experienced guys, and then hopefully he'll be able to get like raised up from that.
Yeah, I just think it's tough because. And I feel a little bit for the GMs, because we are just so brutal to the people that take risks on players that they think are underutilized or are upcoming talent. Like people love to meme on Ryoma, and it's like, well, that feels like, an example of, hey, we found a talented person in a region people might not scout and brought him over. And
yeah, but 100 Thieves like really stuck by Ryoma's side, and I think the entire sentiment on Ryoma is changing.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. But yeah. I don't. Do you feel like? And by the way, I'm not saying that this is the way it should be. I just worry because I do feel like the general League of Legends community or audience loves to meme on him and not say like. Sure, there are some people that are that it's just sort of like, oh, Ryoma lol.
Yeah, I mean, I saw all these tweets all the time, like especially in the spring split, because I was in all these tags by all these random people. They just like flame everyone. Like there's always gonna be people saying bad shit no matter what anyone does, and I don't know. I really think Papa Smithy has the correct attitude. He just dealt with it, and then it's like changing.
I think your point about don't be a snowflake thing obviously applies to Papa Smithy. He just was like, this is what we're doing, and like. I'm going to sit and listen and try and like learn because it's my first split in the job or whatnot, and he was just confident about what he was doing. And he gave honest answers too. He wasn't like, Ryoma's the answer. I believe in Ryoma, some kind of grandstanding, like, no offense, I like Steve a lot, but that he did a little bit with Golden Glue and then, lost faith in it quickly. And And the one thing I'll throw in about the whole like not having a team of young players, I do like there's something that does I've noticed in other regions is like you have that team that comes up out of nowhere a little bit, full of young hot talent. You know, like ooh, it's Griffin, it's holy shit, I'm blanking on the other team that just did it last split.
What region?
Or anyway, just
LTK. Fuck. Whatever. My point is that there's Damonte, excuse me, Sandbox. You know, there's Mad Lions. There's these teams all over the place that have like great splits that are full of relatively young, untested talent. With maybe instead of being 3 veterans and 2 rookies, it's more like 4 rookies and 1 veteran or something like that. And it happens in multiple leagues where they are either top of the standings or at least competing relatively well. And I feel like we haven't had that in North America in forever. I can't think of like the last kind of like pop up out of nowhere, like a lot of good hot young solo queue talent slammed together, and it makes a good roster. C9 doesn't count. C9 was the second best team in the league last split and upgraded with some of their players that they had already experienced, like a ton of experience. Sven's not a rookie. Niski's not a rookie. Licorice. Oh, old C9.
Mark
Okay,
is
old C9.
responding
Yeah,
to Twitch
old,
chat, by the way, for those that are.
yeah,
confused.
sorry.
Old
Old C9 is fair.
in
Yeah.
the Twitch chat, by the way, we were just talking about him. He's always listening. If you believe in a young player, trust the reasons you had for playing them, give the player every resource to succeed, and if at the end of the day you don't perform, or I assume he means your team doesn't perform, it's on your scouting and development, not the player. So I think that's a wise way of looking at it. So, I mean, in that situation, he's willing to take the team. He thinks that the team should take a lot of the blame whenever the player doesn't work out, and it's perhaps the player that doesn't deserve as much of the flame. I think is a smart way of thinking about it.
Dude, Papa Smithy takes the blow for his players, man. That's good shit.
Bubbles, any final thoughts before we move on to the next caller?
No, I think that was it.
Okay. Thanks so much for the call.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. All right, 2 more callers to go. Thank you to Red Rain Final Fantasy 14 for gifting 10 more subs. Wild. Gifted so much recently. Fugs 5, Meddling Kids, Cool Open 2, Danny Zang 0304, Rising Fatality, and Insaya is here. Insaya, welcome back. Our resident FlyQuest fan. Remind me where you're calling from.
Burlingame, California.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about on the show?
I had a question for Damonte. It was, how did you feel when Dignitas went for a new roster right after you guys had a pretty good performance in I think it was
Worlds, yeah.
Worlds and the split before when you were facing TL in the semifinals.
How did I feel? I was pretty shocked, I would say. I didn't expect it at all. I just thought that like going into the 2020 season, I'd be on the Dignitas starting roster, and then it just didn't happen. And I mean, I just dealt with it. I just put my head down and just played more. Just like it sucked, but then I had to get over it if I wanted to continue my career.
You're not on that team anymore, and I'm not going to ask you to flame them, but like I feel like so many people during off season and during all the roster stuff, they were like, what? You made it to Worlds and you are blowing this team up so much and doing all this crazy stuff with it, and it didn't make a lot of sense. And now looking at the results of that team in spring and looking at how messy it looks going into summer, it's hard not to look back and continue to wonder what the hell happened there. So do you, as a player, just feel like the wrong decisions were made? I mean, even separating yourself out from it? Do you want me to repeat it? Were you not paying attention?
No, I mean, you're just saying like if it's the wrong decision or not, but like obviously they didn't go in making those decisions into the 2020 roster saying, oh, this roster is going to be worse than the other roster. Like I doubt any team is going to do that. Like
I know, but like it's just it's one of those situations where the outsiders are like, this seems really bad. Why are they doing this? They must have some idea. And then it comes through and it's like, yeah, it was really bad. Why did they mess up a world's caliber roster so much?
I don't know. It's like for me, I don't know any of the insider information, even though I was on Dignitas, and all I can do is assume what happened. And if I'm being 100% honest, it's not anything I really want to say publicly. So like,
That's fine.
I personally think, yeah, I think they made wrong decisions.
So like from the outside looking in, I think what a lot of people saw was like, okay, a team with some hot young talent with Vulcan and yourself doing pretty well. You know, this mix of veteran and new talent, like you're talking about Cody-san as well. All the young talent is what left in Lyra, and then you built around just Huni, I think is what a lot of people saw, which is why it seemed kind of crazy. And then as well, you know, we were like, okay, this seems kind of weird. And then to have it fail, which some people were predicting, and then to see the whole roster blow up again heading into summer makes it feel like there was for a lot of us, like a lack of long-term planning. When it's like, well, you could have just had, good young talent for the most part. And I think that's what shocks myself when I look at that Dignitas roster. Is like, I'm fine with the idea of like Clutch last year heading into 2019 was like, hey, we're going to have a high volatility roster. I think they called it when they put you guys together, where it's like Piglet in the bot lane, Huni in the top lane. Like, who knows if this is going to work? It's going to be crazy.
It's either going to blow up or blow everyone else up roster.
Yeah, and they were transparent kind of about what happened.
Dardoch on that team at the time too?
I don't
No,
think
they probably
so.
didn't have Dardoch and Piglet on it at the same time.
Right. Well, it was still Lyra and Vulcan, right? Damonte, because you were there.
For spring?
Yeah, 2019 spring, right?
Yeah. It was Huni, Lyra,
Piglet, and Vulcan.
Vulcan, yeah.
Yeah, and like that was a roster where like they were transparent. This is like a bit of an experiment. It's high volatility. Didn't work. Changed some pieces around to remove some of the volatility, and hey, it became a functioning roster. And like I can track the line of logic that the GM is going for there. This is one of those times where like I can't track, like what was the plan and what's the new plan and this kind of stuff. And that's why I think it feels really bad for a lot of us, and people sympathize.
Yeah, I think it's just I'm trying to think if there's been a time where I've been so disappointed in 3 LCS teams. Like 30% of the league right now I find really disappointing, which is CLG, Dignitas, and Immortals. And I don't even necessarily mean with their players. I just think their organizations are pretty disappointing to me, and a lot of the decisions they're making don't seem to have much logic or reasoning behind them, and I don't think that they've done a great job of, in any of those cases, communicating to the audience why they're making those decisions and making people feel confident in them, right? It's one thing when Golden Guardians is like, we're trying this out with like the 5 NA players, and like that at least feels like a strategy. To Mark's point, it feels like these teams are just kind of spinning the wheel and seeing what comes up, and there's not too much context that's provided to help you understand if there is some sort of philosophy there. So,
and some of these teams don't even actually have that philosophy when they're kind of making it, and it's just like a narrative that they spin up, and even that's more satisfying to me.
Yeah.
I've known there's a couple teams who we've talked about their strategy in hindsight, which wasn't really it in the moment, but like I'd still rather be able to contextualize it in some way.
Yeah,
that like these teams don't even feel like they're trying to do.
Yeah, give me some reason why people should feel interested in your roster. If it's just kind of like, look who we signed. It's just weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, I think that might be it. Any final thoughts, Insaya?
I mean, Mark pretty much talked about what I was thought of just after Damonte finished. I guess the only thing I would also have left is I was kind of surprised they still let go of Lyra even after all that. I thought he was actually pretty consistent and works for Dig, but I guess it just kind of circles back to the same point of how they just kind of blew up the roster and nobody really knew why. So no, I think that's all I have.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the interview. Thank you for the call. I was thinking about so the reason I said that was because I did an interview with, I talked about this, I think, at the start of the show. I did the interview with Soaz where he's like, I can't say what's happening with Immortals or who we're playing or what's going on or even if I'm playing. And I did a similar interview with Froggen where he couldn't tell me if he's playing on Dignitas or what they're doing. And and maybe I'll play these interviews after, but on stream. But it's also the first time where like it's media day. Media day normally happens a couple weeks before the start of the split. Media day is actually happening like 2 to 3 days before the start of the split, and I'm interviewing players and they can't tell me if they're going to be on the main roster or not, and it's just like it's never happened this way before. It just feels really weird to understand what's going on.
Damonte, I saw when Acadian was talking about Dardoch joining Dignitas, he said the team is going to do like split scrims to find their best 10-man roster. What do you think about? Have you been in one of those situations before, and what has it been like? For people when it's like, okay, we don't know who's starting heading into the split, and it's like this 10-man roster that almost never actually is a 10-man roster.
I was on the 10-man roster on Echo Fox in like 2018, I think 2019, whatever the EF10 was, and like. I mean, usually they will decide who's starting like a week before at least. So like I'm assuming by now Dignitas must know who's starting on their roster for week 1, and Immortals must know too, because if they haven't chosen by now, I think they're just wasting a lot of their time. But like it's a bit weird because you just go week by week not really knowing what to do, and then a huge issue comes about where it doesn't feel like you actually have one team where you're just working with 4 other players. You just have like a bunch of different teams, and it's like you have to build synergy with so many different players. I don't think it's like optimal. I think if you're gonna run something like that, like 6-man, 7-man roster is like probably the max. And then those 2 players who are like going that are interchangeable, they have to be definitely certain like people that actually are like willing to do that, or else it might just not work either.
Hey Insaya, thank you for the call and the interview. Apparently, have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
All right, we got one last caller to go. Mark's off to grab him. Thank you to Popsuvich, Spencer Neutron, Jingles KC, Jilly McBeam for the subs. Really generous. A lot of people subbing tonight. Dill Wavis, is that your name?
Yep.
Dill Wavis, where are you calling from?
Miami, Florida.
And you've called in before.
Yes. Many
I don't know why. Dill Wavis to me just sounds like one of those names that's trying to trick you into saying something.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's just my names with the initials switched.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know. It's like it's like
Candace?
It feels like Mike Hawk, like that kind of name.
Or bend over.
Yeah.
Great. Really mature, everyone.
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Dill, what do you want to say what do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about how not a single LCS team is prepared for international play, and I think we'll be blown out of the water again in Worlds.
I feel like this is just going to come down to a conversation about Cloud9. Let's just bring this down to the lowest common denominator, which is Cloud9, which is what we're just going to talk about anyway.
Whoa, we have Damonte here.
Whoa.
Is Golden Guardians prepared for Worlds, Damonte?
Yeah, we're currently scrimming in order to be ready to play top esports. So.
Great.
Wow.
Fantastic.
I mean, Damonte's here. He's in North America. He can say, yeah, I think this region is currently weaker or stronger than it's been in the past. We got blown out in the past, Dill, so it's maybe not the strongest take, but at least he can say the relative strength of the region compared to what it has been in the past.
Let's have that conversation, and then we can have the real conversation. Go ahead, Mark. Lead this part of it.
I just did. Damonte, what do you think about NA's current relative level, ignoring C9 for a second? What about the rest of it?
Without C9, it might as well be a wildcard region, honestly.
But have you always felt that way, or is it especially bad this year?
I mean, since I got to kind of spectate the spring split, it felt like spring split was just extraordinarily bad. But I don't know if it was just because I was spectating and not like in the middle of it, or what. But spring split definitely looked kind of terrible.
Weren't you guys on Dig Academy getting some scrims versus LCS teams? I assume you probably were, right?
We scrimmed like CLG like twice.
That's it?
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising.
Yeah, there weren't many Academy streams teaming.
How did the CLG games
There weren't many. I don't know. I think we went even. It was just like whatever scrims.
Okay. So maybe it's been a little bit worse in spring, but it's hard to know a little bit. I think for a lot of people it looked worse. I think anytime TL, which like your former #1 team, is just shitting the bed, it's hard to feel confident that like, oh yeah, this is how our region's supposed to be. So I definitely agree, but I'm not sure that's necessarily going to forecast summer quite as well.
Okay, can we have the real quick discussion now?
Yeah, that's what the forecasting summer
Hey, so
transition was.
C9. Is C9 would they actually stand up to teams internationally? I feel like we've talked about this before too, but I don't know. I think they could. I don't. Why, Dill? Why makes you so confident that C9 is not prepared for international competition?
I want to go with spring finals. Made me a little shaky, I want to say, with Cloud9, because Cloud9 I want to say it was game 1 and game 3, didn't seem as dominant as they did the whole season, where it seemed like 1 or 2 team fights turned that whole, at least that game around. And then also after watching, what was it, like the mid-cup invitational between LPL and LCK, it just seems like the skill gap between that and what the NA is just astronomical. Like, I really just see the LPL, like top esports, FPX, like Damwon, SKT, Genji, just all seem head and shoulders over what Cloud9 is right now.
I mean, I think the gap has always been there. That's why it's called the gap.
Yeah.
The gap closed for a while.
I think it was just an illusion.
I'll take other teams' words over my own. Other international teams have been interested in C9 and think they look good. So, like, I will defer to them, people that would be playing C9, that they think they're good. Now, whether good means, that they're pushing for finals or some shit, who knows? But at the very least, competitive, most likely, with other teams.
Yeah,
so
I don't think the take that we'd get smashed, which is I think what you were saying, is one that
I'm
I
saying,
would say
like, I don't
confidently.
think us getting out.
Getting out of groups?
Like, I can see us pulling a game here and there depending on what the minor regions are in that said group. But
I mean, that just it becomes so difficult because what's the group?
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly.
Do we have a finalist in it and a quarter finalist in it, or sorry, a semifinalist in it, or do we have, like, I don't know. It's just difficult. I think C9 would show up, and I don't know if they'd make it to the finals or anything like that. But I definitely don't think that C9 would get stomped. Do I think any of these other teams would look great? No. I think C9 would be our only hope. Sad that
Damonte,
MSI didn't happen.
Who do you think are the best candidates? C9, yourself, and then is it TL or TSM or EG? Who's the third best candidate for Worlds?
Probably EG, I would say. Just because I feel like they're not. I mean, they're just like willing to make a bunch of crazy plays all the time. I feel like that's how the meta has like been forming over the last couple of years. Just like watching LPL and LEC in particular get better and do more stuff internationally too. They just are more willing to make crazy plays, and that's how EG are too.
Well, Dill, thanks so much for the call. Anything you want to say before we move on to the end of the show?
No, thank you for having me.
Thanks for calling in. All right.
I think I have slight faith that North America can level up from Spring Split. That's not saying very much because we still rarely get. No one but C9 ever gets out of groups, so it's not like saying anything. But I don't think there'll be a good reason to be more pessimistic than normal, even though Spring was a bit of a shit show, which everyone thinks.
I think NA is gonna get slammed.
We always get slammed, though, pretty much. I guess that's not... So I'll stop shitting on North America completely here. Like, we've been 3-3 and in tiebreakers and shit like that with European teams. That's bad that we're not getting out.
Cloud9 made it to semis not too long ago.
And
TL
we beat
finals.
IG. Yeah. So, like, I don't want to just completely shit on us all the time. But we are definitely the weakest of the 4 regions, and I don't think that's changing this year unless C9 does some insane shit. So, like, I don't feel particularly more negative this split than I have in the past.
Doesn't NA get like only 3 seeds, and then the other 3 regions get 4?
It's only China, and I think maybe Europe
LEC?
does too. LEC
Just
does.
those 2?
Yeah, I don't think LCK does.
Oh yeah, LEC does.
Yeah.
Korea gets 3. All right, Mark.
Korea sucks, dude.
What do you want to shout out? Did you ever figure out what it was that you wanted to say on the show?
No. The dive was out. We'll be doing another dive this week is the plan. check out that great podcast, one of the best ones in the scene. Shout out to Damonte because he's cool.
Damonte, what do you want to shout out or plug?
Shout out to Mark Zimmerman because he's cool.
That's good.
Shout out to Travis Gafford for having me on this great show that I love to be a part of for the last 2 hours of my life.
Is there any question you wish like that you came in ready to answer? I feel like we should make this a staple. Like, is there something the fans didn't get to that you wanted to talk about? We didn't really talk about Golden Guardians too much.
I mean, the problem with talking about the Golden Guardian stuff is I've only been scrimming with them for like a week and a half. Yeah, like a week and a half. So like I don't even know how good we're gonna be. I mean we do really well in scrims right now. So like, who knows what that means? So if there's anything I really want to say, just like I guess I said it like 3 or 4 times. Just like I think everyone on the internet and in esports are just snowflakes, and just everyone should stop. I just keep saying that, but I feel like that's what I realized over the last like 6 months of me being in academy and like watching from like over the shoulder. That's all.
Well, thanks everyone for hanging out, watching the show. Thanks to Damonte for coming on. Thanks to Alienware and DraftBuff. Be sure to join once more the draft Royale and see if you can best Mark and I with our lineups. And we'll see you guys on the other side of LCS in episode 126, I think.